Hey, everybody. Thanks again for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber podcast. I'm Jeff Zito. You can listen to Celebrity Jobber wherever you listen to podcasts, whether you stream on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on all of them. Plus, past guests and episodes are online at celebrityjobber.com. Please subscribe. Would love a 5-star rating and leave a review. We talk to celebrities, whether they're actors, musicians, comedians, and kind of talk about what life was like before they got famous, what their career was before fame, maybe the little thing that changed their life, whether it was a particular role or a song or a moment. And my guest this week has had a very long 30-plus year career in Hollywood. You probably know him best from his role as Ricky in the 1991 film Boyz in the Hood. He's also been in G.I. Jane, The Brothers, Showtime's Nurse Jackie, Prime Video's Goliath. I mean, the list goes on. His body of work has received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And currently the lead character in the new CBS series Watson, which airs Sunday nights at 9 p.m. We're going to learn all about his story. My guest this week on Celebrity Jobber is Morris Chestnut.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
Good morning.
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. You're an Eagles fan, I understand, so you had to be pretty happy with what went down with that big Super Bowl win of yours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was very happy, actually. It's, I thought we let them get away the last time we played them. This time it was a great game. They didn't leave it. They knocked them out, didn't leave it to the refs, so it was great.
I wasn't expecting it. I don't know if you were. I mean, obviously, if you're an Eagles fan, you're believing, but it seems like the Chiefs, they just do enough to win every game, and I just wasn't expecting that blowout. I was not expecting it.
I was not expecting it either. I was shocked. Spent most of the game in shock, especially when Patrick Mahomes got jittery, and I really was surprised to see that. I don't think I'd ever seen him like that.
So with that Philly beatdown that he gave the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, there was really no way for them to get back into the game at any point because you guys, it was just a beatdown. So when it was finally over and you were Super Bowl champions, was it like kind of anticlimactic, sort of? You know what I mean?
It took a minute. It took a minute for me to realize. I was like, wow. I was almost like, wait, what just happened?
You're from California, from Los Angeles. How did you initially become an Eagles fan?
I've been an Eagles fan since the 80s. I used to play Pop Warner football, and I loved the running back they had, Wilbur Montgomery. And he used to wear these cleats that I got my cleats at the local grocery store, so I'm sure his were a little bit more expensive than mine. But
And do you still live in L.A. now?
Yeah, still live in L.A.
And is everything cool? I mean, with the wildfires, your home, everything cool? Did they get close to your house?
Thank you. Yeah, everything is good. They didn't really get close. We had to evacuate because of a small fire. I think someone had started a small fire on our side because we're in the valley. But everything was cool. We just had to evacuate briefly.
Man, it's a scary time. It was. I'm glad to see that things are now somewhat under control over in California. So tell me, Morris, what a great career, man! Like an incredible career, and it's been going on now. When I start looking at how long your career, because I've been a fan of your whole career, and I can't believe it's this long. Your mom and dad, both regular people, both working people. So what got you interested in acting at a young age?
I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do after I got out of college. And I had taken an English class, and a friend of mine in the class told me to come see him in a play. I went to see him in this play, and the next semester, I just tried it as an elective at this junior college. And then I liked it, so I started, just trying to pursue it.
So your mother was a teacher. Your dad worked in the medical field as a medical salesman. Did they ever say to you when you were growing up trying to be an actor, hey, Morris, nice hobby, but maybe a backup plan would be something you want to think about? Or were they very supportive?
Yeah, actually, my father father was a blue-collar worker. But no, so when I started out acting, I was still pursuing a normal degree. I was still pursuing a finance degree. And they were very supportive of me, but I knew that they would feel comfortable as long as I was still pursuing something different than the arts. And so I was still pursuing a finance degree. So they were still cool with it.
Okay, so you get out of college and you say you're pursuing a financial degree. What happened after college and before acting or before your big break? What were you doing in the interim?
Right, so I never got out. So what happened was took my first acting class at a junior college, my second year in junior college. So my goal was to go to junior college for 2 years and then transfer to a 4-year university. So I think it was my third year or my fourth year when I finally transferred. I was trying to, run for classes. I was petitioning for classes, and I was still auditioning at the same time. And I got the audition for Boyz in the Hood. Got that. Still went after we filmed it. I went back to school, and then the movie came out. Then I got another job, so I had to drop out that semester. I finished that job, went back to school, and then I got another job, dropped out, and so it was just that for probably about maybe 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then I just started pursuing the industry.
I kind of find this whole thing pretty amazing. You get interested in acting while you're in college. A friend says, hey, come watch me do this play. And then you kind of took some acting classes in college, like as an elective. And then you get Boyz in the Hood, like while you're still in school pursuing your finance degree. Can you talk a little bit about Boyz in the Hood and how that role came about in your life?
So I used to change agents all the time because in Hollywood you'll get an agent, they'll be excited, they'll send you on a couple of auditions, and if you don't get it, they kind of get cold on you, and then the agents are getting like 8 million pictures a day. So I just switched agents to this gentleman named Del Garrick, and I went on a couple of auditions, and Boyz in the Hood was one of them. And I went in, met with the casting director, got the call back, and met with the director, and it was John Singleton. He was, we're about the same age, so it was really comfortable, very familiar, and he was really nice. And I auditioned for John, then I went for the screen test, and then I got the role.
And what do you think, Morris, when it was all going down, did you think that movie was going to have the impact that it had, or maybe not the impact, because I mean, you had to know while filming it that it was a huge, it was going to have a huge impact. But I mean, as far as the popularity and how big that movie became, did you have any idea that was going to be the case?
No, actually, no. I not even when we were filming it, because there were a few things that led me to believe. Okay, first and foremost, it was my first movie, and at that time. Movies that were successful, they were huge movie stars. You're talking Tom Cruise, Jack Nicholson. So I was like, okay, well, I'm in a movie that no one knows who I am. No one knows who this guy Cuba is. No one really knows who I Fish is. And people know this other guy who's a rapper. So no one knew who anyone was at the time. And in addition to that, so when I got the call back for the screen test, I thought, okay, I got nervous. Like, wow, I'm going to go to Warner Brothers. I'm going to Sony. Where'd I go for this big Hollywood screen test? Because it was my first one. And it turns out that the screen test was in Marla Gibbs, who used to be on the Jeffersons and the 227. She used to have an acting studio in South Central LA. And so I went there. I took a couple of classes there as I was trying to pursue the industry. So when my agent called me, he gave me the address and told me, that it was at Crossroads. I was like, really, for a screen test? And I went for the screen test. I was like, so it really was like no big deal, because it kind of took the mystique off of the big quote unquote Hollywood screen test.
Right.
And so I'm saying to myself, so I have a screen test that's basically on a video camera at this local acting school in South Central Los Angeles. I'm in the movie. Nobody's heard of me. Nobody's heard of pretty much mostly everybody else. This director, he's my age. He's 18 years old, 19, whatever, 21, whatever we were at the time. So at the time, I had no idea that the movie was going to have the impact or it was going to be as popular as it was.
How did your life change after that movie? Was it too much for you to handle?
I mean, it was a lot because, you literally go from no one recognizing you to you're going into places and people just start saying, hey, I saw you in the movie. Hey, you look familiar. People just start, recognize you, and then that's kind of it's a strange thing because I wasn't prepared for it.
So I hear a lot of different stories, and there's a lot of different paths from all these different people. And I got to be honest with you, this is one of the most incredible stories, and how this all turned into a career for you. One of your very first acting gigs, and then that movie blows up, and it's like it usually doesn't happen for people like that. They're in Hollywood, they're waiters, or they have other jobs before they get their big break. And I know that during college you said you were a finance major, and I know that you were a bank teller kind of part-time while in college and while auditioning for different roles. What was your first job ever? Not acting, like first paying job.
My first paying job?
Yes, sir.
My first paying job was a paper route.
Okay.
There was this called a penny saver, and that was my first paying job back in the day. I mean, I know kids don't know about that now, but that was it back in the day.
Well, I'll tell you, it was also my first job too, Morris. So I understand. I was just I guess I missed the first episode, but I'm reading about a new project that you're involved with right now on CBS. It's called Watson. And as I was reading a little bit about it, I was pretty impressed that it is kind of based on the Sherlock Holmes story. So can you tell me a little bit about it?
So the story takes place after Sherlock Holmes has died. It's based on the Sherlock Holmes mythology. So Sherlock Holmes has died. He gifts me a clinic to help solve rare medical mysteries. However, as doctors, we work in a clinic to solve the mysteries. However, we also go outside of the clinic and go into the streets and gather clues, evidence, information like detectives. And that's the Sherlock influence. And so we're doctors inside the hospital, we're detectives outside the hospital, we're detectives. And that's how we solve the medical mysteries.
And this is in its first season, correct? And it was it first came out just a couple of weeks ago. I hear it did very, very well on CBS.
It did. It did very well on CBS, and we're coming. It's episode 2 airs this Sunday at 9 o'clock.
It's a CBS original called Watson on CBS. And Morris, again, great talking to you. Followed your whole career, and was real great having a chance to get to know you a little bit. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to me.
So, after all the people I've talked to over all the years, this story to me was just really special. Because, Morris Chestnut, first of all, the guy has to be very talented, right? Decent looking guy. Okay. I'm just saying, okay, good looking guy. I'm secure enough in my masculinity to say that. But got to be talented. He doesn't really figure out that he's got the acting bug or anything like that until he's in college. And a friend of his says, hey, I'm in this play. You want to come check it out? And he goes and he sees it and he liked it. And he's like, hey, you know what? I'll take a few acting classes here in college while I'm pursuing my finance degree, get a few credits, a few elective credits. That's really how this whole thing started. He auditions for a few roles. One of those roles happens to be a movie from some, director that nobody's heard of because he's a young guy by the name of John Singleton. And he's telling me he's doing the casting at some small studio owned by Florence from the Jeffersons, Marla Gibbs, some small studio in South Central Los Angeles. So he's not like very impressed by going on this Hollywood casting call for this movie. You know, I guess it was kind of underwhelming for him. Never heard of the director, never heard of anybody else in the movie, really. And then he gets the role, and it ends up being like the role of a lifetime. Boyz in the Hood, humongous movie, part of pop culture history, culturally impactful. And it was like right at the time in the early 90s when Rodney King was going on. And, you know, a white kid like me in the burbs is not familiar with life in South Central Los Angeles and what a young black person has to deal with on a daily basis. And I think that movie basically showed white America exactly what was going on for this specific race of people in this specific geographical location. And it's mind-blowing when you think about it. So I kind of just thought his whole story was pretty crazy, you know? Never really dreamed of being an actor and had no, you know, family members in the acting business. His mother and father were just, you know, kind of regular working class people. Again, the guy had to have some talent, and being a good-looking guy didn't hurt him either, and has parlayed this into a 30-plus year career. And his latest thing is Watson on CBS, 9 p.m. Sunday nights, kind of a spin-off on the whole Sherlock Holmes story. Morris plays the leading role, Watson, and doing very well on CBS. 9 p.m. Sunday nights, it's Watson, starring Morris Chestnut. I mean, when we talk about how this whole thing might not have happened for Morris, I mean, this is the story. He could have still been a bank teller and in the world of finance or doing anything else. This was something he decided to do for a few elective credits in college, and here we are. I've talked to a lot of amazing people over the years, and this one just really, for some reason, has gotten me, you know? Everybody's got a story. And Morris Chestnut, first job, paper route, same as me. Got something in common. Thank you again for checking out the Celebrity Jobber podcast. Please follow on Instagram, celebrity_jobber_podcast, youtube.com/the@celebrityjobber. And you can listen wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we're on all of them. And I ask you to please subscribe, would love a 5-star rating, and please leave a review. You can listen to all past episodes and guests on celebrityjobber.com. Pretty crazy. Morris Chestnut, really cool guy. Ricky from Boyz in the Hood. Have a great week. Thanks again for listening. And until next week, I'm Jeff Zito.